and welcome. Hey, and welcome, you guys. Thank you for joining me. We're back for another episode of Imperfect Women, y'all. But before we get started, please do all of the things. Like the video is a free way to support the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend to tell a friend, please. And thank you. Comment down in the comment section, sharing your thoughts, keeping it cute. And speaking of sharing, share this video where you share your videos because sharing is indeed caring. Also, the Cashapp and Venmo are there for those who like to drop a little something in the chip jar. Baby, the lips is not working today, okay? Listen, we are more than halfway through the season. This is episode 5 titled Louise. Okay, let's get into it. So we start with dance. And Dancy Nancy, okay, tells us she's been dancing since she was 9 and that her tolerance for pain helped her endure. Baby, you know what that mama was informed what Miss Thang was going through at home, so that kind of helped her in her gift. So 2 months prior to her death, things are still rocky with Robert, who has been sleeping in the guest bedroom. It looks like she comes down to have a conversation with him before she goes in for her first day in on this production. Baby, he don't want to do nothing, okay? He don't want to have dinner with her later. He don't want to do nothing with that lady. And she finds out he's been drinking a liter of alcohol in 2 days. I said, ooh, my. AA meeting, need to attend. So she suggests a therapist, and, he's kind of dusting her off. But Nancy is the creative consult for the ballet, and she's just nervous. She's just nervous, y'all. She's looking to turn this opportunity into something more. So we see her. She swings by Mary to pick up Howard because Mary, I guess, is going to be... Was Mary writing? Is that what Mary was doing, child? I don't forgot. I didn't write it down. Pardon me. But Mary was going off to work, and one of their cars was in the shop. So she was tasked with driving Howard to work with her. So she narrates that she loves Mary, but frankly, she isn't in the mood to babysit her underemployed husband. I said, because she was kind of saying, we hadn't had much of a, personal relationship, which who would? Your friend's husband is your friend's husband. And unless you knew them before the friend or the same time as a friend, your loyalty's with the friend. We don't be knowing these men. And she really ain't in the mood to babysit him. We kind of see that throughout the beginning of the episode. Because she's just not interested until she is. So after rehearsal, she gets an introduction from Phil. She gets up there to speak her little speech. She gonna clear his throat, Howard David, that is. So he gets up and he starts talking a little bit too much, child. So Phil is like, yeah, okay, cut the mic. Okay, that's it, that ass. And Nancy really didn't want nothing to do with him. Again, he's asking her about lunch. She just really, really dusted him off. She is too busy trying to give her actual creative input to Phil, who suggests, she put her ideas together into a lookbook. But at the end of the day, he is less interested in her ideas and more interested in her money. And baby, you hate to see it. So we find out that it's been 25 years since Nancy stepped foot into a dance studio. And it's a lot for her. She hasn't danced since the accident. That wasn't really an accident. I mean, it was an accident, but Mama was wilding out. And whatever happened to Mama? Did Mama pass in a car accident? Is Mama still around and we just don't talk to Mama? Did Mama going on to glory, or actually to the hot place because of her alcoholism? We don't really know. It's not really important to the story. I just be, inquiring minds want to know sometimes. But she's worried about Robert, okay? And she talks to Eleanor about it. I think they're at like a bar or something having this conversation. And Eleanor is like, it really sounds like more of a midlife crisis and less like a divorce. Wealthy people split assets for a number of reasons, and they kind of just need to talk about it. Now, we never saw the ladies have this conversation after what Nancy found out in the last episode, which was the separation of assets, the emails, the divorce. But clearly they've had it because, Eleanor's talking to her about it like they've had this conversation before. So Eleanor's saying, listen, Robert loves your dirty drawers. He's not going nowhere. Now, baby, I didn't see any of that. If y'all saw it and maybe it's not me, I mean, y'all get down in the comments and let me know. because they had Robert seeming so mean and nonchalant at the same time. Excuse me, really till this episode that we got that he potentially cared. I don't really know what to make of Robert or how they put this show together. You know what I'm saying? In terms of the friends don't seem like friends, the husband don't seem like he loved the wife. I don't know. I don't know if it's the writing, if it's my interpretation of things. I don't know. But his drinking has Nancy concerned, given her childhood. Like I said, Mama was hitting that bottle and anything else, Nancy and anything else she can get her hands on. So she wasn't much of a mom. And then, Eleanor's giving her advice. I really like the advice that she gave her, so much so that I didn't even write it down. But Nancy mentions that, their anniversary was coming up, so she had commissioned a piece of artwork. And that's the piece that was on the wall. And then we see David's studio. Clearly, again, I mentioned in my other recap, nothing romantic here, as he's trying to get her comfortable with not being so safe as she requested. But then, she really want to be safe. He said that she wanted to show the scars, but she kind of was seeming like she wanted to cover them up. And he was like, I mean, do you want to be not safe or not? But she gets distracted because she's getting these texts. And we find out that the texts are from Scott and that she had indeed reached out to this man and now sits here and is looking petrified to the point that she has to block him. And I was like, and Scott real childish too, because he was like, I don't know if he's calling her Dancy Nancy too, or Nancy Pants, or whatever he was calling her, talking about you don't have to block me. I was like, sir, grow up. Grow up. You seem real predatory and nasty all at the same time. I couldn't do it. Just childish. So we're back over at practice. And Nancy's doing her little sketching. Howard comes over. He gives her a new notebook. And then we just kind of seeing the days pass. The days are passing, and her disgust is starting to turn into friendship. I said question mark, because it wasn't really. I guess initially it was until we crossed the line. Initially, it did seem like a genuine friendship. Yeah, we'll leave it at that now. And I said, child, Phil really be calling that lady Louise. Now listen, I can't be your benefactor. I can't be paying. Excuse me. Hold on a second, y'all, because this cough is not going. Hold on. Back to what I was saying. I cannot be your benefactor and paying for all this, and you just don't even know my name. You don't take the time to know my name. I don't play like that. I do not play those games. So one day they're talking. The practice gets out early. Howard is trying to go see him a little movie before he got to go pick up the girls. I guess he got the car back. And Nancy goes into the restroom and finds her lookbook in the trash. I said, ouch. And I mean, she had really invested her time into it. It was well put together, leather binding, nice book, sketches, fabrics, the whole shebang, okay, in the trash. So she comes out and kind of ends up revealing it to Howard, who's basically affirming her. Like, you made it from Bakersfield to here is very impressive. And so she ends up going to the movies with him. I think they went to see a movie called Red Shoes, which I think everything in this series kind of ties in together. So I think the play was kind of about like a woman, not the play, the ballet was about like a woman with a tortured soul. Red Shoes was about a ballet, and that lady was like a tortured soul. Child, I had to do a little bit of research, but really not. But everything, it's the little things that tie together that I tend not to pay attention to. And, he's a historian within his right. Oh, because that's what he's contributing. Also, in addition to giving her a new notebook to sketch things in, he had given her, I believe, a copy of his book. So after the movies, they're talking and they're walking. Scott calls. Okay, she kind of walks off to the side, but I feel like David Howard can still hear what's going on, and she's visibly shaken. She's kind of telling him, "Listen, I made a mistake. It got the better of me. I reached out. I don't know what I was thinking, but you have to stop calling me." So I don't know what he called from a burner number, a block number. Sometimes you just gotta change your number, sis. So he's asking Howard, that is if she's okay. And she says it's something from her past, but she wasn't ready to talk about it. And she asked him not to bring it up at dinner later because her and Robert are supposed to be coming over to their house, and she hasn't talked to Robert about it. So we're at dinner, and before they head out, they're having a nice little conversation. Howard's making some jokes about Phil because he had said that Phil be using that white lady, and that's why he can't remember nobody's name. Now, that's not what he said in front of Mary and Robert, but he's just making jokes. Nancy laughing a little too hard. Nancy and Mary go into other rooms to talk, and they're supposed to clean up, which is the quickest cleanup I ever did see, baby. But they're about to go. Robert been hitting the sauce, okay? Robert been hitting the sauce. They're about to head out, but he's like, listen, I got it. You guys need help. I have something to tell you. And he tells Mary and Howard that he has a family friend who's an attorney and owes him a favor. And he offers to have him represent Marcus for free in his upcoming case. Now, Mary looked like she was about to say, oh, thank you so much. Like she said, thank you, but she was going to accept. And Howard is like, no, he declines. He feels like he's freeloading, and he says, he'll find another way. And Robert tries to insist like it's not freeloading, and maybe with the rich folks, it's not. You may feel like it is because you're not necessarily on their financial level, but they be doing these kind of favors for each other all the time. So sometimes we just got to put that pride to the side and take what it is, accept whatever help it is we need. It's already hard enough asking, but it doesn't look like you asked. He offered, I would have took, we never really, maybe they did say later that he did take the help. I don't really know because we were talking about the judge later, but as of this moment, it doesn't look like he accepted it. And I feel like, maybe he should have, or at least, at the very, very least, you're a unit. Take the time to sit with your wife and talk about it. So Nancy's trying to back Howard up, and she's like, let's respect their boundaries. But a drunken Robert says she sounds stupid. Not you say your wife sounds stupid, child. At somebody else's house in front of company. So she walks away. She walks into the kitchen. Howard follows her, and he was like, that's uncalled for. And he's kind of asking if she's safe. And Mary kind of comes in and is like, listen, Robert done got in the car, baby. Now, that's already 2 strikes if I'm married, because one, why are you laughing so hard at my husband's jokes? And secondly, why is he the first one to run behind my friend when her husband would call her stupid? But maybe it's just me. You get down in the comments and let me know if you agree. So after practice, they're kind of in the stands, and I think Nancy had doubled back because she forgot something. And Howard asked her if she could take a look at the program because it's almost time to put the program in. So she adds her input. And she's got some, nice pieces to add. And she's like, baby, I'm a dancer. Okay, I does this. I know it's exactly what the hell I'm talking about. So he thanks her for everything. And he says he's made a great friend because even though, that's, I'm your friend's husband, they've had a bond. Up until this moment, it's a platonic bond, but Nancy, girl. So it turns out she's got a bottle of wine. They decide to share it together. She don't want to go home and share it with Robert because Robert got a little drinking problem, okay? So maybe they drink that thing. Nancy first, drink that thing straight out the bottle. Next thing we know, Howard David's ass is up on the stage, hitting his pliés. Baby. I was about to get in my dance bag. Don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Please don't do it. But he's hitting his poses. She's like, you don't know what you're doing, baby. Okay, plie, all of that. She about to get up and show him how it's done. And somehow she twists her little ankles. I'm like, did she even have anything on to twist her ankles? But child, I guess. So he's asking her. So now they're sitting down. Got a little ice or whatever we need to try to make this go away. Medicine. I can't remember, child. And he asked her why she stopped dancing. So she's like, well, the short answer is a car accident, right? And because he's, you want the short answer or long answer. But the long answer is much more scandalous and private. And I don't know why she chose to share this with this man. And I was really shaking my head because I'm like, this is your friend's husband. And I wouldn't have shared something that personal and intimate with my friend's husband. To me, it feels like a lack of boundaries. I don't know if it's just me. Okay. And I've known my best friend and her husband for the same amount of time. Now, do I have the same relationship? I absolutely do not. But nothing in me would make me share something personal with that man like that. I don't. Going off of the tangent. So now we saw the scene. Okay. Her mama, this was in the last episode. Her mama was driving fast. She wouldn't stop. And she's telling Howard, I guess a drunken slut wasn't going to cut it after, she tells him she effed her mama boyfriend. And he was like, he assaulted you. I said, thank you, Howard. He corrects her. Thank you, because that's more what it was like. She was not able to consent, abuse of power, and so many other things. It's just, no. So after her mom passed out, she was saying that he would basically take her different places in the house, in the car. And well, you know what his nasty behind was doing. So Howard figures out that that's who's been calling her. And she confesses, listen, she reached out. She's not sure why. He's like, that's because, you're a fire starter. And maybe indeed she is. To her detriment, baby. She says she liked the danger and she also liked the attention, the possibility of getting caught. Nancy, girl, therapy. I get it, but therapy. All of this don't have to be. And I feel like you got your life to such a point to then go ahead and get it off track, especially when we get to later on in this episode and find out that Robert really wasn't doing absolutely nothing and that you had went and did what you had did. And what she went and did was the two of them start kissing, right? Her and Howard David. And the next thing we know, she is on top of him riding it to the sunset. I said, what is going on? And it's given now, to me, it's giving he is the creepy professor that sleeps with his students, or maybe he's not. Y'all get down in the comments and let me know what you think. So when she leaves, it almost looks like initially that she's shamed that she's done something like that. Now we go over to Mary's house. I don't know whether it was the next day. I'm not sure the time frame, but it's another day. We're at Mary's house. She's telling Eleanor and Nancy that the judge agreed to put Marcus in a diversion program and he'll have to go to Gamblers Anonymous and do community service. That's not too bad. Nothing on his record. But baby, Nancy can't focus, okay? And we know why. Okay, she having flashbacks of sleeping with that lady husband. Because baby, I was just getting on Eleanor's ass. But sleeping with your husband when you wasn't even cold in the ground. And now you'll be here sleeping with Mary's husband, Nancy. Come on, her husband. So she hops up and says she's not feeling well. And she bolts, baby. Eleanor right on her heels, okay? So she finally divulges to Eleanor that she slept with somebody. It's no one you know. His name is David. It's not going to happen again. Baby, again. Why would we tell the lady that is in love with your husband, okay, who's known him longer than you, that you done went and stepped out? What this is, Nancy has no friends, and none of them do really. And that's why these ladies are more than imperfect, okay? Because that's the last person. I feel like Eleanor was taking notes, okay? Because she was waiting for your downfall. She was taking notes to see what was about to happen. So when she gets home, Robert is headed out of town last minute for work. And Nancy's bothered because she's trying to get a feel for what's going on, okay? She done seen the email. He's acting funny. He ain't sleeping in the bed. He drinking crazy. He ain't paying no attention. He ain't touching her. He can't get it up. She asked, are you divorcing me? He said, stop worrying. I love you. We'll talk when I get back. I said, none of that is a no. None of that is a no, ma'am. And when I had to learn from dealing with a narcissist, baby, if it's a yes or no question and they don't give you a straight yes or no, and they go around the mulberry bush, it is factual, okay? And they don't say no. It's a yes. It's a yes. So he leaves, and what does Nancy do as soon as he leaves? Call that lady's husband to meet up, okay? And meet up they do, and get it on in her car, okay? Backseat of my Jeep, let's swing an episode, okay? More like backseat of my Range Rover, okay? Because we boiling shot calling. And then another day, they have sex in the dressing room. A little attention when you're not getting any at home can be dangerous for an unhealed person. Because I'm like, and baby, is it really that good? Is it hitting on all of that? Okay. Okay, and I know, no, we're not going to talk about Mary because that lady shouldn't be sleeping with her husband about what Mary is doing and Mary is not doing. So Nancy is at this party that we saw in the photo and we talked about a little earlier in the season, and she is smoking and sitting on Howard's lap. And then she walks over and drapes herself over David and she gets photographed, and that is the inspiration for the painting. Now, remember when we had talked to David, he said she was at the party. She came with some guy. He was ready to go. That wasn't Robert. That was Howard's ass. Now, Howard didn't look upset. She was sitting on his lap smoking. Like I said, went over there, draped herself over David, and we never even saw what happened when they got ready to leave. So I feel like they're intentionally even leaving some of this stuff out so we could put together more of the pieces, puzzle pieces later. But this is, we kind of heard about this, and now we're seeing it play out. So Robert returns from his trip, and she wants to sit and talk, but they're supposed to have a family dinner. So we get over to this family dinner. We got Mr. Hennessy, we got Kit, and we got Harlan, who was the wealth advisor or what wealth director, whatever his title is, child. The one that had the young hot secretary in the last episode. And we found out that Bobby done effed up, okay? But Harlan managed to get the SEC off their backs. I said, here we go. He was supposed to tell Nancy this when he got back, and Kit was like, oh, you didn't tell her yet? Let me break it down for you, okay? He convinced their dad to sink 20% of their holdings into acquiring a company that was nothing but a pile of debt. The only way to avoid a lawsuit was to have Bobby use his portion of the trust and pay off their investors. Okay, and so Robert's upset. Nancy's upset because Robert's about to, he look like he about to storm off. And Nancy's like, his adult name he goes by is Robert. Okay, so like I said, Robert's done storm off. Nancy's behind him. And I said to me, now really shame on them because Robert is giving, I don't know if he's the baby child, but he's giving him the baby child. He's giving a little bit of the screw up because, or at least they're calling Bobby the screw up. So if you're saying he's an F up, why would you not check out everything before you made this deal? Like, why would you go off of his word if this company is a family business and you're so serious? Or maybe, I don't know, are you setting him up for failure? Did you really just trust in him? Because it doesn't give me that they trusted him enough to let that man make his own decision. So I was surprised that they let him make this horrible deal anyway. So now when they get home, Bobby crying in the car, okay? All their expenses, his father controls. It all goes through him. I said, oh, baby, what's worse than being an adult and being treated like a child? Oh, I can't even imagine. So he says he understands if she wants to leave, but she's like, no, I thought it was you that wanted to go because of the email. Because he looking like, you read she read the email, Robert. So he says that she's the most important person in the world to him and that he wants to protect her. He wanted to stash her settlement money in an offshore account so the father couldn't get to it. I said, what settlement money? What settlement money? They never told us nothing about no settlements. And now, did she get a settlement from the car accident from her mom? I have no idea, because why would you get a settlement from that? Because your mom just literally ran the car into nothing, but I don't know. So she says she's been living without his love for 3 months and she's a mess. I said, Nancy girl, 3 months? 3 months, Nancy? You've been in an almost 20-year marriage and you are losing it over 3 months? It don't take much, I guess. I said, now, I ain't never been married, so y'all need to get down in the comments and let me know what y'all think is a good time frame, okay? I mean, because you did mention therapy. I don't know how long you've been asking this man to go to therapy, but what is the time frame? And you've been in a 20-year relationship, almost 20-year marriage. What is the time frame to which you say you're going to cut your losses? And if she was going to do that, that's fine, but sleeping with that man's husband wasn't a part of that. And honestly, I was sitting here reflecting. I didn't mean to make this episode that long, because I didn't really feel like this episode gave that much, but it did at the same time. Some of them are like that. I feel like I condensed it much better when I was talking about 2 episodes at a time. But we're going to wrap this thing up. But to me, aside from him pulling the painting off the wall, it really never gave that he loved Nancy that much. Like, he seemed cold, he seemed mean, but no, he didn't cheat or any of that. He just made a bad business decision that cost him. And I felt like, get out of here. Like that's what we're getting from Robert. So are they more alike than we would seem? I don't really know. I don't know what to make of it. Again, I don't know if it's the writing. It just don't give me that he liked that lady. So he apologizes, they hug, she get in his lap, they kiss, and they head on inside. So it's the big night. We're at the ballet, everybody's there. Robert and Nancy are back on good terms, okay? And Howard is sitting there next to his wife, okay? And he seems jealous. Now Nancy gets up, she goes to head to the powder room, bathroom, or whatever, and in comes Howard. You haven't answered my call in days. She tells him, listen, you can go ahead and toss that burner. We need to move on. He's heated. He's like, we were just backseat of the Jeep or the Range Rover 2 weeks ago, and he's just running down all their rendezvous that they've been on and, in the past time frame. So she tells him, listen, it was a big mistake and she was in a bad place in her marriage. And he basically feels discarded. He grabs her arm and tells her, like, he grabs her arm and she tells him, this ain't what you want. Like, you better let go. It can get really bad for you. So he says maybe he'll tell Robert what's been going on. And she's like, he wouldn't believe that I would sleep with you. Nobody would. I said, oh, Nancy done been through so much. She didn't look phased. She didn't look scared. She didn't look nothing. So look, I mean, she could have just spit in the man's face for the energy she was giving because she was like, yeah, all right, Howard. So back at home, they're discussing the ballet. And he's talking about what he liked, the costumes and, all the things. And she's narrating how she had planned to tell it all, give her Usher confessions, if you will. But as she's walking out the room, at first I thought she was going to take a shower. Maybe she's going to the bathroom. Her phone starts going off. And Robert picks it up to see nudes of his wife. Okay. So she doubles back and she says she has something to tell him, but it's too late. He turns the phone to her with the nudes. And Robert's asking, who is he? And she's like, no one. She made a mistake. Baby, he is getting angry. Okay. He throw a vase or something, just barely miss hitting her. And she wants to talk, but like I said, he raising his voice, he throwing things, it's escalating. So Nancy runs out and she hops in the car. Okay, no more conversation. She runs out and she hops in the car. As she drives off, we see somebody's watching her. And the person follows behind her. Then they show us who it is. And baby, it's Mary. You heard me, baby, it's Mary. And that is where the episode ends. Baby, listen, okay? They spicing it up a little bit at the end of the episode. Because we put these pieces together and it's not adding up. Everything's not adding up, but we putting the pieces together. And why I say it's not adding up is because Robert told Eleanor, she said she was going to end things that night, but that's not what it looks like. And it's not the same day she met her maker, because that was the day she told Eleanor she was going to end things. We didn't see her telling that man she was going to end nothing. And this was I think weeks before her death. She actually was going to end it on the night she passed away. So I'm like, okay. And the night that she did pass away, she told Eleanor that it was bigger than she thought. She was scared. And so now I need to know why. Like, what else was Howard doing other than threatening her? Did Mary confront her that night, or did she just follow? Maybe the whole family is a mess. And who do y'all think did it? I had kind of thought the son was somehow involved, but maybe not. I don't really think Mary did it. Mary could have helped with the cleanup, and she could know. Robert is looking real suspicious. Howard is looking real suspicious. Did the nasty man, what is his name? Scott? Her mama boyfriend. Did he pop back up? And because he was at the memorial. So I don't really know. I'm trying to put it all together and see where we're gonna go with this. I forgot what the next episode is titled, because I'm really trying to see where we're trying to go. I don't know for sure who did it, and some of, like I said, the writing is kind of sketch. Oh, the next episode is Mary. Episode 6 is Mary. After a startling discovery, Mary struggles to square reality with perception. Baby, what does that mean? I didn't mean to be here this long, y'all. I appreciate y'all for coming through, as y'all always do. Okay. Drop your thoughts down in the comment section. I appreciate you ever so kindly, and I will see everybody in the next video. Peace out, y'all.